It's part 2 of Day 9 Daily number 443, where we learn to be a better gamer. It's a Zerg vs. Zerg, a matchup I weirdly haven't done in a while. So I have all sorts of stuff to say. I did want to note that right after today's daily is the second After Hours Gaming League semifinal. I think I still have the brackets here. Yeah, we did IBM versus Zynga last week. And tonight we're going to be doing Epic versus Twitter. We already know that IBM is advancing to the grand finals. Who will join them? Epic, the undefeated beast #1 ranked team? Or will it be Twitter, who's been actually taking down some pretty sick teams, most notably Palantir, where they won the ace match over Tristan. Ugh. Never living that down, are you, buddy? Boom. Now, in part #1, what we discussed was all sorts of fun goodness about how the hell we stay alive. And there was this idea of, okay, I'm starting to creep up, and at any moment, I could let go of everything and defend against this all-in. My preparations are not lots of Zerglings or lots of roaches. My preparations are banelings. My preparations are spine crawlers. So that way, my larva can be left open to build drones. And again, I don't want to say the response to an all-in is banelings and spine crawlers. The preparations, we sort of pepper in some spines, pepper in some banelings. When the shit starts to hit the fan, we just roll out the Zerglings, we roll out the roaches. That's the big emphasis in part #1 that we ended up looking at. Because we want to break this idea that Zerg vs. Zerg is somehow all about the early game and all about ling-baneling trades. So here, as we step into the game, we see that Stefano's starting to go for this sort of long-term play. Wow, he's going to get ready to take his third. He got these roaches early so he could take a third. Sheth has a Spire coming up. This is a very new school style of play that I honestly is my personal preference, but that's because I'm a sad, pathetic StarCraft 1 Brood War ZVZer, where I'm like, what? I have 9 drones. I'm done building drones for the rest of the game. I only have 1 hatch. Let me just note, Zerg vs. Zerg and Brood War was so intense that 1 hatch Spire was really common. In your main, you would just start off going speed Zergling, harass, straight tech to the lair, immediately build the Spire, build a spine crawler tucked in your base. You'd be like microing 3 mutas versus Scourge with the weird sort of like sort of shot, you know? Like, ugh, that's how you shoot the mutas in that game. Oh, if you don't know what I'm talking about, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You got to see me do some cool things. All right. Woo! Woo! The one thing that I did say is between 6 and 7 minutes is where you can start to do something, some interesting decision, like getting a layer, getting an expand. It generally happens a little bit closer to 7 minutes, but the way I want to describe that is that around the 7-minute mark, we do something interesting with our gas. We go for a layer, and the interesting gas thing is a Spire. Stefano, the interesting gas thing he's going for are upgrades. Another interesting gas thing you can go for is to just take and expand. That's actually perhaps the only exception to it. But literally get a Spire, or get a layer to get roach speed. That's how you're going to spend your gas interestingly. Get a layer for infestors. That's how you're going to spend your gas interestingly. Get a layer for mutalisk. Another interesting expenditure. Get really early upgrades started. That's interesting. Or last but not least, expand. Just think of what cool shit you can do with your gas. Ha! That is indeed how I want to say that. So cool, Stefano is going to go ahead and take a very early expand. Still adding on drones and drones and drones and drones and drones. Sheth, again, the preparations that he made for some sort of all-in spines and banelings. And, of course, taking down this backdoor rocks of his own. But we see 10 Zerglings popping out right now. Sheth getting a little bit behind on this sort of thing. But he's going to be saving larva now. For the most part, though, both players droning like crazy. Still droning coming up from Stefano. And what interesting thing is he doing with gas, getting these upgrades en masse. Now, I think it's very easy to sort of succumb to the, oh, this is all situational-itis. We're going to see Stefano respond to the air with queens. And, well, hell, we're going to see Sheth go air. And it's really easy in a spot like this to say, oh, yeah, Stefano, he's just doing this because he saw air. What do I do if he doesn't go air? Or in Sheth's case, what do I do if he doesn't go Mass Queen? What if he goes Hydras? Same shit, okay? I'm just going to say right now. Basically the same stuff. These build orders are strong enough that they're flexible, but you don't have to do big deviations. You don't have to go the king of overthinking. So let's start from Sheth's point of view, since I've been focusing on the Zerg vs. Zerg through his lens for much of the early game. What are these mutalisks going to give us? They're going to give us map control. As we go to the vision cam, we have extension all the way through the center. Ignoring this one, I don't actually mind. Stefano has hyper limited vision. What do we do with map control? We secure bases, something that uses map control. If right now we were massing up an army, I would go over and punch Sheth right in his little Floridian mouth. Because if you're getting map control really nicely and not using it, that's kind of stinky. Stefano, if he started massing up units right now, I would love that. He's pinned back home. He has to stay back home and defend. Doing these sorts of little pokes, I also don't mind at all, trying to break the map control spell that he's under. And from Stefano's point of view, what do you do? The intuitive thing. I make a lot of spores, I make a lot of queens. Doop, doop, doop. As a general rule, build more spore crawlers on the islands that don't have creep adjoining them. So this is where you want to build a lot of spines. In the main base, if you have the queens there, you should be generally okay. Queens are pretty good against the mutalisks. Now, from Sheth's point of view, he's just going to harass as much as possible. And again, look at Stefano's vision. Almost none. Look at Sheth's vision. Almost the whole map. In this sort of period, building mainly mutalisks is fine with your gas. And with your minerals, building mainly drones, I really like. Sheth is going for this. I'm not as big a fan of this, but if you're Sheth, you can do it. I permit you to do it. If you are a Grandmaster and the best Zerg in America. So Sheth, not going to be bad at all to take this one as well. But again, we're buying ourselves a lot of time. I love this decision by Sheth. Look at this. He is building the infestation pit. Is actually the first building to go down. He's getting evos and infestation pits. And I'm going to tell you right now, eventually Sheth is going to wind up with a whole bunch of roaches. But he is focusing on these things first. This is more interesting to do with the gas. And Stefano's literally just sort of hanging on, going roach. A lot of roaches, a lot of roach upgrades. In vision for... okay, so in the right now, obviously, we're seeing Stefano have himself a little bit of trouble defending this. Sheth is doing some really cool multi-pronged harassment. Roaches are really good, so they end up cleaning it up. So obviously, spores and queens make a lot of sense. Envision for a moment Stefano not under all this pressure. Stefano would be going for roaches. Okay, let me try it one more time. Suppose for a moment that Sheth is doing something different. Let's actually spam the possibilities. Let's say Sheth is going for something that's heavily roach-focused. Well, we already focused on getting earlier upgrades. We're still going to go infestor. We're still going to get our upgrades up early. We're still going to get the roach speed. And we're still going to make a hell of a lot of roaches on 3 bases. We're just going to cut the queens out and cut the spore crawlers out. Stefano's build is not really going to change that much. He may very well end up getting a slightly earlier infestation pit if he's up against a roaching player. It's very common to end up seeing. But Sheth, really like his play. The only time I think Sheth is going to be doing something pretty drastically different is if he's also up against a mutalisking player, in which case, still, we end up getting a 4th kind of early then as well. Doing some sort of fun craziness. Unless your opponent is really sacrificing a lot of drones. But again, then he's basically all in. The important thing is that a transition back to this composition that's more ground-based is very, very strong with this mutalisk style. But you can clearly see what the purpose of this is. It's a time like this that we can start labeling all the purposes of what Sheth has done at all points in time. Alright, we already talked about how all the banelings and the spine crawlers are going to get us a lot of defense early on. And then the mid game is all about mutiling harass. Mutiling harass. Why is that? Mutiling harass to get 1 2 bases extra up, and to buy time for infestors and these plus kind of things. Looks like there was lag. Martha, let me know, Martha, all good, Martha. I totally just dropped a bunch of frames. I just don't really know what it is. There's been a weird glitch that's been happening. It turns out it's not my encoder. It's something happening on the internet. It's just saying, no video allowed, no video allowed. And I'm like, what? Whoa. Martha, everything good? Martha? I'm going to tell you all about purpose. I'm going to completely start over. I just want to make sure. I'm going to hold my hand up for any of you who want to skip ahead in the Blip TV archives. Well, it looks like Incognitus answers first. Alright, good. Good, excellent. Fantastic. For any of you archive viewers who are wondering what's up, there's some sort of odd, mysterious chat demon that is causing a lot of the chat servers to shut down. Something on the interwebs. Don't really know what it is, but apparently it shuts off and then it comes back. And remember all those messages that people were spamming? Yeah, yep. Now you know. And my looks like all the video starts to just like go nuts. So my apologies for that. But either way, we're having fun over here. So let me talk about purpose for a moment. Okay. Phase 1 of Sheth's build, stay alive till we get Spire. Phase 2, use mutalisk to harass like crazy so we can get the goods up. And now is phase 3, which is the defend like crazy phase. The defend phase. Big mistake, very easy to make. Get excited, want to attack, don't do it, don't do it. Don't do it! Don't do it! Now, Stefano's is the opposite. It's put on a little pressure at the start while taking a third, defend, which is exactly what we've been seeing, and now shove forward now that you have 2/2 roach speed and infestors. Very simple. Very simple description of these phases. It's so important you know the basic purpose of all these phases, because for one, it makes observing really, really fun, because you're like, why is he attacking? He should be defending and trying to get a 4th right now. Oh my god, he lost his window to expand. We always talk about losing a window to attack, like, the bunker's not up, the bunker's not up, oh, the bunker's up, he lost his window to attack. We don't talk about losing the window to expand. If Sheth went mutaling like crazy for a while, and then boom, Stefano gets up, infestors, roaches, gets that 2/2 done. Oh no, Sheth is boned. As we can see, Sheth only just now established this defense and is still kind of scrambling to get some more drones here. So now we have another round of droning. Yeah, we're at 79 drones, but we're going to go ahead and go up to about 85. We can go up to around 90 here. So that way you can really make use of these expansions, get these gas geysers running. And we see good little Shethy going for the rest of his tech stuff. And here comes the big attack, just as expected. Yeah, excellent. Excellent, good stuff. Great stuff. Yep, Hydral's Den, Infestation Pit has that Pathogen Gland upgrades. Does Stefano have his? Yeah, he does. And now we have a rather difficult attack for Stefano to try to pull through. He ends up getting hit with the 2 sickest fungals of all time, but Stefano cuts in very nicely. And very clearly, this is going to be a pretty nice, advantageous battle for Sheth because he has the use of these spine crawlers. Remember why we got the infestors up early? We wanted to get as many... remember why we got the infestors up first? We wanted to get them up early so we had enough energy for fungal. And because the instant that we get those infestors built and we're moving out, that's when we start the roach production, which is the final piece to the puzzle. And even though Sheth has inferior upgrades, he overruns it with ease. So it's, I think, very tempting to try to be ahead in every regard. To try to say, oh crap, he's ahead of me on upgrades, he has more bases and all this stuff. I want you to just know that if you're going for Sheth style, that nothing wrong with being behind on upgrades as long as you get this 4th base up and defend it. absolutely nothing wrong with that. If you're Stefano and you do this build and he has upgrades ahead of you, something is actually going wrong. Stefano played this absolutely correctly. And this little poke that we're seeing, we're just going to move forward and watch what Sheth does. I like it quite a lot. Going to get in this engagement. A little bit of drama ensues. Yeah, sure, there's some poking that happens. And some more nice battling going on. We're going to see the players basically do a little bit of a trade. More or less basically do a little bit of a trade. But Stefano's going to go ahead and stay alive by just being awesome and getting these spines up just in time. And we see that things are still clearly looking pretty good. I want to note how similar this is. Well, actually, let me just go ahead and show Sheth retreating. Retreat, Sheth, retreat. Some roaches are stupid and keep wanting to die, but I want to notice how similar that is to, I think it was... Is this the moment? Yeah. Sheth, just beforehand, had built these banelings as a defense. Ran them all the way up, ran into some resistance, and then pulled all the way back down. This is a move that you make a lot in this matchup. As we come back more to modern times, to the 16-minute mark. Is this when the push began? Yeah, great. We come back to this point in time. We see, take a gander up at the production tab. We see, holy crap, here's the defense. In the early game, it was we build banelings to defend against the all-in. Oh no, the banelings are in fact, or the all-in's not coming. Okay, I'm going to push and then pull back. This is Sheth doing the same basic look. The same basic look. He's going to be building up a bunch of emergency troops. And the purpose of this follow-up push is not to try to win. This is the push that goes in, and a lot of people just try to end the game with it and think, oh, well, I obviously am ahead. It's to do this. It's to shove back and to make sure that there's not too much greed going on. If I'm in Sheth's shoes, I honestly expect to trade here. I don't quite... My plan is not to do as much damage as I did. My plan is to just deny this, probably trade a couple units, back off, and say, aha, I traded armies, and I have a 4th base up. I'm the man. Love this. Love this little move so much. So Stefano goes for the Hive. I'm a little bit torn on this choice. There's very few things that Stefano's going to be able to do with this Hive. Very few. He has just these 3 sets of gas geysers. Granted, oh, did he actually just send guys into this geyser? I think he didn't have guys in these geysers for a while. Yeah. There's really not much. The only thing that makes any sense is to get 3/3 upgrades. And other than that, kind of meh. But Sheth, who has these extra pair of geysers, can do all sorts of goody goodness with a Hive tech. And if you say, well, Stefano could go Broodlords, he'd get like 4 Broodlords, and then Sheth would just overrun him with roaches. And again, Sheth, even though he did that poking, Sheth's goal right now is to defend. He really kind of wants to defend until he ends up getting these 2/2 upgrades up. So Sheth does the logical thing. He's just going to continue expanding. He has to defend. He really can't push forward. He doesn't have that clear of an edge. With the mutaling, his advantage was clear. I'm floating and flying all over the place. Why wouldn't I just fly into the backside against your only roach army? That's great. But now it's just roach versus roach. Do we have a bigger army? Well, we know we're maxed, and if he's maxed, we know that he has better upgrades, so we really do have to wait. And yet, we do see, coming out of Stefano, just 3/3 upgrades. Some nice little counterattacks. And I think this is a good time to take a break. Oh! We're going to do that.